Hello, welcome to On the Other Hoof. We have a big day of racing ahead of us with the King George at Ascot, in which Telescope and Tagrua will be taking each other on. And joining me, we have a nice panel of Callum Medell and Michael Andrews. No Adam Webb, unfortunately, tonight, because he has literally just experienced some internet problems. But well done for sticking it out tonight, guys, and congratulations for having good internet.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Well done for it from next door. We were going to mention naps from last week, but we couldn't remember what we actually napped a while ago, which explains how bad they were. So we should probably just get stuck into something equally as bad. And the first race we're going to be covering at York, the 150. Callum, I'm going to give you this first because I really don't want to.
Cheers, mate. I don't particularly want to talk about this race much either. I don't think it's much when you need to run much. I think the 3-year-olds are probably the ones to concentrate on, considering a lot of the others just seem like exposed handicappers who get their opportunity from time to time. But the 3-year-olds in the race at the head of the market look to just have more to give. They're all pretty well bred, actually. If I had to choose one, I'd probably go for Carnivale for Rafe Beckett. Really well bred filly. Maybe probably wants a little bit more cut in the ground, but her Newbury maiden win was relatively impressive, and she ran quite nicely in probably a better handicap than this at Leicester. So I think 3-1 on her. If I had to go for something, I'd go for her.
Yeah, Carnival got down as a big danger, but I'm going to side with Cosmic Halo's a horse I quite like. Won a big York handicap last year. Is now back down to his last winning mark. George Challenge takes off 3, so effectively he runs off lower. He's consistent. Whether that's consistently good, there's another thing. But again, he's going to be much more experienced than the 3-year-olds that Callum mentioned. Maybe the 3-year-olds are going to progress to be a bit better. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow. But Cosmic Halo, off a mark of 74, with George Challenge obviously taking 3 off, is one I side with about 8-1. I think it's a fairly good each way price, but I can be more enthusiastic about races later on. Michael, do you have a strong fancy in this at all?
Well, I didn't know that Cosmic Halo had a sex change, but thanks for telling me about that in the fillies race that starts us off at York.
Yeah, I knew I was going to do that as well.
No, I have to agree. It's not the most exciting race. I'm surprised Channel 4 have actually decided to take it, considering they've got 7 other races on Channel 4. I'm used to them only having 4 or 5 on, so I'm surprised they decided to go with this one as well. The horse I like, and I think it's more of a sentimental point of view, is Yo Jojo, who's one of the ones at the top of the weights with 10 furlongs at 10 stone on her back. She was really impressive last year. I think she won 6 times, which is really impressive, obviously off a much higher mark than her last winning one. She really went over and above what she was expected to do last year, though, and I think this is a weak race that she could actually win, especially with Kieran Fallon aboard. The break, I think, will help. It wasn't really running very well early on in the season, although it did push Boongaroo Getter at Brighton, which I don't think is awful form, and I think if she can repeat that, she's got a lively chance here. Clio, which I think is the market leader, is German bred. Didn't realise that. GR bred. What does that mean? German. What's GR stand for?
Greece.
Oh, Greece, perhaps. No, I've never seen that. That form's been franked. Mihuwala, I think, went out and won earlier this week. But for me, it's not really a race I want to be getting involved with. Perhaps an each way on Yo Jojo at about 25-1.
Yeah, well, so in that race we had colts becoming mares or fillies, and we also had weight becoming distance with Michael. So we're off to a good start tonight, guys. Moving on to more inspiring races now, the 205 from Ascot. This is quite a nice little event, actually. This is also a fillies race for 2-year-olds, but there's a handful of these that you wouldn't be surprised if they won, really. Michael, I'll let you start us off with it.
This isn't my kind of race, I have to admit. I think Callum's going to come up with so much more interesting stuff to say, and I think I'm being pretty boring with going with the Hamden horse. Hamden's got some really good horses going at the moment, and Murakaba, I think I'm going to go with.
Murakaba.
Murakaba, yeah.
Okay, right, okay. These horses so difficult to pronounce. Like Tagruda, I can remember so many people spelling it wrong when she won the Oaks. It was like Tagrota. And various other horses had won the Oaks. It wasn't actually Tagruda, according to Twitter. It's like the St. Ledger with a D. Goldcrest was the other one I looked at, but the form hasn't worked out from her win. So yeah, for me, it's Murakaba, or however you wish to pronounce it.
me and Michael have got compliments on our haircuts from Phil Dinsdale. So, Phil, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm
Sorry,
also,
Callum.
yeah, Callum, get a haircut, mate.
So it's due. On Monday. It's coming off.
On Monday. Oh, God. So next week, Phil, you can compliment Callum on his haircut. I'm also siding with Murakaba or Murakaba, however we decided to just say it then. Um, First time out, led the whole way. It wasn't really a strong pace, but stayed on really nicely towards the end. And when I was looking for his race earlier on, I wasn't overly taken with it at first, but because I thought he may have to make his own pace and he may just be a little bit vulnerable to pacier types like a Sailor. But then watching Goldcrest has led the only 2 times she's run. So and she's very, very keen throughout our race as well. So she could just be pushing Murakaba the whole way, which put me back onto the Hamdan horse. I think Paul Hannigan's one of the best from the front. I think 9-4 is a fair price. Explosive Lady I was quite impressed by on debut as well, but that was such a weak race and she needs to step up a lot on that. And Accepta, I know one that me and Callum quite like. Really gutsy type, won really nicely at, I think it was Chepstow the other day, but maybe falls a little bit short of this class. But for me, I quite like Murakaba tomorrow. So hopefully she'll do the business for us in the first race. I actually have a proper fancy. And Callum, do you agree with them sentiments?
Yeah, I think Murakaba's probably the one to beat. I mean, she's extremely well bred. She's from the family of Matila and Orzan, who, well, Johnson horses that have been owned by Hamdan and done really well. And she made a really impressive debut at Newmarket. The form's probably not the strongest, so the second has been well beaten since, but she did it relatively impressively, and I can see her running running well tomorrow. And I think she deserves to be hit of the market. So does a Sailor, to be honest, who fifth in the Albany was a really good run, and then last time at Doncaster she absolutely bolted up. It was a really impressive performance, and maybe this is just Philly just coming into her own. I mean, it's only 9 days later, but she clearly must be showing something. She reminds me a little bit by Elga, who ran and then ran only like a week after and absolutely bolted up as well. So I'm going to have a small bet on Goldcrest, who I know you mentioned already. I was really impressed by the performance last time at Newbury, where she made all, and I just thought she did it like a really smart filly, and the form hasn't really been tested, but the fifth has ran against a stablemate of this horse in a listed race and was beaten around 9 lengths and was beaten by Goldcrest by 9 lengths in this race as well. So I think she's a decent filly, and she beat, well, Crystal Mott's rated around 78-80, I'd say that horse is around, and so to beat her quite convincingly, I think she's up to listed class at least, and this is a good race for a Group 3, but I think 8-1 over her, I'd far prefer to have than 9-4 Murakaba, when both of them are just coming into the race after impressive maiden performances and similarly impressive maiden performances.
Yeah, I think being out of maiden company will help Goldcrest actually settle it better as well. They'll go a stride faster today or tomorrow, whenever you're watching this. So that's going to help her chances a lot. I don't think she actually wants to lead either. I think she'll get a nice turn to race with Murakaba. And I've just noticed the same thing as Michael has. Sean, or Shries, has gone private. We can't retweet him anymore. Like, he tweets a load of tosh anyway.
He'll be back.
What is this, Sean? Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
He's obviously trying to hide from one of the girls.
What's the point in having a Twitter account if you're going to make it private? Don't get it at all. Don't get it. Moving on to the 220 at York, a wide open handicap here. Callum, your cat's horse is in this.
Yeah.
Well, no, do it properly.
I never said it like Yao, so I'm not doing
For
it.
anyone who was watching our video a while ago, Callum's cat is a big fan of Yao. If not, then if you didn't see that, then we're not going to recreate the noise that Callum's cat made that night. But Callum, I assume you're not with Yao.
I'm going to admit that I forgot to look at this race, and so I'm gonna blag it. Right, where do we start?
Professionalism.
There's a few interesting ones. I think Short Squeeze, if he settles, I think is quite interesting. But the fact is he hasn't settled in the past. Alfred Hutchison possibly ran in an okay race behind Bronze Angel and But he's just a horse that finds one, two, or well, two or three too good, and he's favourite in this, and I think that's a bit surprising. Silent Bullet, I thought ran really well when second to Captain Bob, and then I thought he took a real step backwards last time, and I don't really know where to go with him. I think they found the right sort of race for him, but I don't know if I could back him either. I think the solid one for me, Alejandro. I think David O'Mara goes really well with his horses at York, and he won a decent enough race at York. Two starts back off 87. He's off 94. He's run an okay race since finishing third at 5 at Haydock, but he's the pace angler in the race. He's going to go out in front, and I think it might be quite hard to catch in this. At 9-1, I'll go for him. Again, it's not a race I have a bet in, but Alejandro if I went for anything.
Yeah. Well, Callum, bro, you're on Bet Racing Nation one night, then you're just forgetting to look at stuff just because you think you're big time now. You have to look at the race, my friend.
I had 3 cards to look at, and like in so many big handicaps as well. That's the problem. Like I spent like half an hour on each of them, and then I forgot that. Oh yeah, forgot about that one.
Tom Skeeter will eat your heart out. Michael, this is your kind of race now, not like the last one. This is your kind of race here.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm being a bit boring here. I just think the top 2 are potentially just so much better than the rest of the field, really. Royal Rascal, I'm not sure if this is the trip. I'd rather have her over 6 furlongs. Sir Reginald possibly could pop up here. Can't have Silent Bullet. I think Yao's maybe done his running for the season. Ran really well without winning already this year, especially at Newmarket. I remember. And Alfred Hutchinson, I think, is very much a false favourite. Never really, always there or thereabouts. But I can't have him at the same price as Short Squeeze and Dutch Rose. Dutch Rose obviously only beaten once at York over this distance. I think she's all of her wins come around this distance anyway. Yeah, over course and distance, she's 4 out of 4. At York, she's 5 out of 4, and that 5th came when behind Guest of Honour in a listed race over a mile. That form, you've got to say, is not bad, because obviously Guest of Honour went on to win the Summer Mile, I think, at Ascot. Summer Mile, I think it's called. Summer Stakes, one of the two, something to do with summer in it. And Short Squeeze obviously was really progressive last year. The weight for those two, I can understand, puts me off, but I just think they are the 2 best horses in the race. I think Sir Reginald's the one to really watch out for, especially that run behind Blaine last time out. But yeah, the top 2 would be the 2 I'd prefer to take over anything else.
What's your maths like, Michael?
Not very good. It's really bad. Really bad.
Well, you just said that Dutch Rose was 5 out of 4 at York.
Oh, God.
Which a lot of us know is mathematically impossible.
I looked at the races, and it says York runs 5 runs / 4 wins, so I just put 5 out of 4. Yeah, I see my problem.
Yeah, you're close. For me, I'm siding with Silent Bullet. I did a multiple earlier on. There's a lot of Godolphin horses in there I'm not quite too proud of, but Kieran Fallon takes the ride. Silent Bullet, there's a lot to like about his Sandown performance. Came into the race travelling really nicely, and there's nothing wrong with being out-battled by Captain Bob. He's a really tough performer. He was at the front the whole way, and maybe I don't know. That's the wrong term. I was going to say outstayed Silent Bullet, but I'm not sure that's quite right, because they were battling and putting distance in between themselves and the rest of the field. Last time out, sorry, it didn't happen. I mean, I'm more than willing to forgive the horse one run. It was too bad to be true. It was a real step back, but if he runs anything like his Sandown performance today, then I think he's going to be a serious contender. I think 15-2 is a really good price about him as well. So for me, I'll take Silent Bullet. I get Callum's line on Alejandro. He was very close to being my selection, but I don't know. I thought maybe a step up in trip might benefit him a little bit more, but I'm not too sure about that. Last time out, he wasn't stopping, but got caught by Heavy Metal, who's running in the International today. So for me, I take Silent Bullet, but it's a wide open race, and from one wide open race, we move on to another even more wide open race with the 240 from Ascot. Callum, you've got a strong selection here in Muharrem, haven't you?
Yeah, I think he's the one to beat. He's the head of the market. I have 6 tracker horses in this, so it was quite. But it
more than half the field in your track.
It's just one of those races where all the horses that you think are well handicapped just meet. and so it's really tough. But Your Fired are back last time, and I've left him in, but he's probably just found his limit now. I thought he got going quite early in that race, and Golden Town's a good horse, so he's going to be thereabouts. Billingsgate impressed me last time, beating George Sank. Showed a good attitude, but again, has he got the class to win a race like this? I'm not so sure. Glorious Empire, I thought he was really impressive last time behind Jono. I think he was probably worth about 5 or 6 lengths further than that. So I'm going to go for Maharib. I just think he's a very, very good horse. He beat Championship last time. Again, is a horse I want to keep on side. They were well clear of the rest. A strong pace and Ascot I think will really suit him. So without doubt the one to beat for me. And I'm definitely going to have a bit on Between Wickets at a price. I think 18 to 1 is quite big on him. He's coming into handicaps. He's matured quite a lot through maidens. His maiden form is okay. I had a word for him on his first start, and that he's working like 100 horse at home. He's in handicaps of 82. Thought he was relatively impressive on a step up to a mile at Chester. And just looked like he was really maturing into a nice horse. And 18 to 1 on him on handicap debut off 82. If he can't make strides of 82, I'll be surprised. So I definitely have a saver on him at 18s, but Maharib at 11 to 2 as well. But it's a cracking race, and whatever you do, just follow all these horses because they're very, very good horses in this.
I remember Between Wickets.
Yeah, run on debut at the Craven.
It's literally just dawned on me which one it was. We backed it at 25s and didn't.
Yeah, finished second.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's okay, fair enough. That's just dawned on me. That's it. I agree with Callum. This is a really, really nice race. The two that I especially like in this is Monjol, but more for the future. But the one that I'm going to take for tomorrow is Baltic Brave, who I was really impressed with last time out at Newmarket. I'm not going to mention it beat one of my in second in Dutch Dealer. I'm not going to mention that, obviously. But he put serious distance in between himself and Dutch Art Deal. I do still think that the second is worth sticking with for a bit, maybe in the right kind of race. But Baltic Brave steps up in trip, which I think is what he needs. He took a little while to get going last time out on the July course, but when he did, he wasn't stopping at the end. So his step up in trip's no worry for me. Richard Hughes, I think, fantastic jockey booking. And 87, I don't think is the limit of his abilities, really. He's run a lot, but he is still improving all the time. I just wanted to put a line on Billingsgate, who won nicely last time out at Sandown, but I just take that form with a pinch of salt because he beat George Sank in second. And George Sank came cruising into the race, and he's the kind of horse, he gets to the front and he just stops. He does nothing in front. So George Sank got there, and then Billingsgate, okay, he did battle, but he looked to work a lot harder. So I'd say that form maybe not worth keeping with. He'll probably go and bolt up tomorrow now, but
yeah. I'd agree with that. I think it's good form, but in the context of this race, it's probably pretty modest form.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. Yeah.
I think I've just annoyed Phil Dinsdale because he said I've loved Billingsgate in this. I'd err on the side of caution with Billingsgate. Very good horse, yes, you can't deny that, but what he beat last time out, I'm not 100% sure or not 100% convinced about. Anyway, Michael, you're still to talk on this race.
Yeah, and I pretty much disagree with Callum, which is not a good line to follow most of the time. But I can't have any form that's got anything to do with Championship. I just find him really disappointing, especially last year. I think now he's tackling further is obviously eking out a bit of improvement, but I don't rate that form in comparison to some of the others. And Between Wickets is funny because I also noted him on debut or either debut or on his second start and followed him right up until he won. So that was an expensive horse in your tracker. The one that I like, I think You're Fired is going to run another really good race. And I also think Glorious Empire is the other one. It was between those two for me, but it's a very, very good race. And as a result, I think it could go between, there's 11 in the race, I think there's about 8 that could win it. Glorious Empire, obviously, he beat Jono, and Jono kind of franked the form when second behind Balti Boys, I think, at Newmarket last week. So it's between Glorious Empire and You're Fired for me. The others, I think, that if they improve, they've definitely got a good chance, but I think those two set the standard.
So we all disagree on every single one, except for Billingsgate, who we don't think will win. Moving on now to the second group race of the day that we're going to be covering, the Skybet York Stakes. Now, this race, you have to note that the best horse doesn't always win it. Usually, they're second anyway. That was the case last year. Any guesses as to who was second in this last year?
Um,
What race
Granger.
is it?
Yeah, there we go, Grandia.
Oh God,
Beat by Mukadram last year. So
Yeah.
Mukadram
list
obviously
is before the.
we'll be talking about later on in the King George, but I don't. I want to call it disappointing this race, but it's only disappointing because I don't know. Well, it's very hard to say what's going to be making the running. There's no real confirmed front runner. We sort of maybe talking a bit earlier. Windhoek may make the running. Secret Gesture will need a stamina test, so you imagine she'd go forward. But it's a really really tricky race to try and sort of pick apart because there's no real pace angle. All the horses are of similar abilities really. It's just for me anyway tricky. Michael, you can get us started with this one.
Yeah, it is tricky. I'm a fan of Sheikh Zayed Road, but I think this is trip is a bit on the short side. Always takes a lot of stoking along to get going. And for example, when he was beaten by it was Sharistan that beat him at Sandown, wasn't it? He didn't quite get there in time, so that's a bit of a worry.
On that ground though, I'd expect him to reverse the form of Sharistan tomorrow. I'd be
Yeah.
disappointed. That
Yeah.
ground really shakes Side Road's best.
Oh yeah, I agree, and I hope he will. I'm just worried that the trip is possibly on the short side now. And I think Secret Jester is going to run a good race. It's between those two for me, but it is a decent race, but it's just you don't quite know how it's going to pan out. And I think it depends what happens in the race. I'd rather be betting in play, I think, than
Yeah,
trying to decide what's going to happen before the race because it could go completely not how you expect it to.
yeah. I am a fan of Secret Gesture, a big fan, but I, I'm not sure if Jamie Spencer's going to go fully forward on her. Maybe sitting in the first three tomorrow, but the only feasible front runner I can find is Windhoek. The one that I've sided with is Long John, who was so impressive at Maidan on his first start, and didn't really carry that forward behind Toast of New York, but ran a really nice race on his English debut at Ascot, staying on the whole time. Steps up in trip today, and it's not really. Callum, you sort of had a bit of doubt about the trip and whether he'll get it, didn't you? A bit early.
That's my only doubt about him. I think there's absolutely no doubt that he's the best horse in the race, and I think by a clear margin, his Australian form is really strong. I mean,
Well,
Caulfield Guineas winner.
he's a Group One winner without a penalty, isn't he?
He is, yeah. And the problem is both runs over 10 furlongs. One was the Cox Plate where he didn't run any sort of race. And you could probably excuse his UAE Derby win because the surface rode very slow and he got far too back and it was a very, very strange race. But and again, Charlie Appleby horses didn't really go on from their second run at Maidan. I can't work out if he really wants 10 furlongs. That's the only thing that puts me off in this.
I think from his last performance, I think he may get 10 furlongs here. He was staying on quite nicely at the end, probably doing his best work though. It was probably never closer than at the finish, really. But this race tomorrow, it may be a 10 furlong race, but I think it'll be run more sort of like a 9 furlong race, which could sound completely moronic to say, but just because of the lack of pace, I imagine even if one does go forward, they're not going to be putting sort of like cutting their own throats really. And I keep going back to Windhoek, but I can't imagine Kieran Fallon would want to be going too fast on Windhoek. But Long John, I'm taking the stance, best horse in the race, and I'm hoping Graham Lee won't have him too far away from the pace. So Long John for me. I assume you're taking him on, Callum.
I don't know what to do in this race. For a Group 2, I think it's weak because you got Windhoek as favourite, and I don't think he's that good, Windhoek.
No.
I thought he was relatively impressive at Sandown last time out. Both the horses in behind one, Rala's won since, but that's just messy form. It's not
Yeah.
form that stacks up, and I wouldn't take 3-1 at all on Windhoek. But the fact is he's a solid horse in decent form, and it could be enough to win this race.
He will
Dana,
run the race.
Dana, yeah, Dana, I can't work out. I don't think he's in any sort of form at all. Looking at his form, he's got a couple of soft ground runs there, and he just doesn't go on soft ground at all. But he won in Turkey, but that race was horrendous for a local Group 2 listed race officially. He is unpenalised now, but I just don't think he's any sort of form, even though he does go well at York as well. Long John, I've said before. Secret Gesture, I just don't think it's good enough either. I think she's found her limit and it's not good enough. I think I'm going to put Sheikh Zayed Road up, and he probably won't get the pace to suit, and probably he's best over 12. But he's not far off these, and Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm going to say Shake Side Road will outrun his odds. I think he's not far off these at all. So, and a galloping track like York should suit. So I'm going to go for him.
This is probably one of the races that I'm really looking forward to seeing tomorrow. Actually,
Yeah,
it's probably not the strongest, but I just want to know what happens in it. Really,
yeah,
Shakeside Road, I can completely see your stance. I absolutely adore the horse. Whether he'll get enough cover, I'm not 100% sure. And sorry, pardon me. And the pace of the race, I just don't think will suit him whatsoever. I'd love to see him win because he's just a fantastic horse. He's a credit to the owners, and Martin Lane rides him absolutely brilliantly. Like you can't fault him at all. But it's just such a tricky race to sort of, to decipher. But moving on from one tricky race to a really easy race, the through theme is the International Stakes, and the 29 runner handicap. Yeah, 29 runner handicap. Um, Michael, I assume you quite like about 10 in this.
Yeah, I've got 5,
Oh,
which is quite limited for me. We'll go through from race card. Oh no, they're listed as they're listed now. Belgian Bill to start with. Fancied him in the bin. Did I just say? Sorry. He was it fielded? Was it the Royal Hunt Cup Belgian Bill running last time?
yeah.
I think it was.
yeah.
Yeah. Where he was murdered. I know you talk about AR, but Belgian Bill was finding no gaps either, along with another half the field as well. But hopefully he'll get a cleaner passage today. That's not guaranteed whatsoever. But he's got Ryan Moore aboard, which is
Wait a sec.
yeah.
Wait a sec. Are you saying that there's a hard luck story in the Royal Hunt Cup? I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, I think there's not many good luck stories. I think you normally get about 3 in the whole race.
Yeah.
Everybody else is hard done by. But Belgian Bill, Ryan Moore's aboard. He is off the same winning mark as when he won the Royal Hunt Cup last year, I believe. I think he's got a really solid chance. Heaven's Guest, we would have had Adam Spiel if he was here about Heaven's Guest, but we'll have to go through it ourselves. He's a very good horse. I think now he's found his form, he's likely to keep hold of it. So with Jack Garrity taking the 5 off, I think he's got another good chance. Hofstad Keys, I know I put up before he was brought out at the Newmarket July meeting, and I think that's definitely one on the up as well. Redvers, I think if the ground is good to firm, he's got a good chance. Obviously won last September, a really competitive handicap. If it's his day, I can see him being banged there as well. And also Bronze Angel, who's finally found his form last time out. This is obviously tougher. Won that race and needed to win that race. That race was a lot poorer than this one is. But I think if he can go on from that, he's obviously a ex-Cambridgeshire winner. So yeah, those are my 5. If I had to pick them, I think I would narrowly go Belgian Bill. It's difficult. I can't pick between. I think I'll take out. No, it has to be somewhere between those 5. You can decide which 5 you want. Pick it out of a hat. I think that's how I'll be doing it. I don't think I can afford to back all 5 unless Yo Jojo wins the first.
So basically, people watch this show to see what we fancy, and Mike was gone. Here's 5. Decide yourself.
Yeah.
I'm only keeping it to 2. I'm giving AR another chance in the Hunt Cup. Oh my god, another hard luck story. Got absolutely murdered by my other play spot horse. Nice of you to tell me, about a furlong and a half out, and that was when he was really, really cruising into the race. Whether he really saw out the mile really well, I'm not 100% sure. I know Callum sort of feels the same, but 7 furlongs, and he wouldn't have appreciated the rain that fell today, but I can't see that getting into the ground too much. So ground will be no problem for him tomorrow. But the drop back to 7 furlongs is probably more up his street. I think he was running such a good race in the Hunt Cup, and I find it hard. Well, I would find it hard to put him out of the frame in that race before he got absolutely broadsided by Nice of You to Tell Me. But he's one I'd give another chance to, and at a price, I'd side with Heavy Metal at 33-1, who won a lot easier than I think it was about a neck or half a length at wherever it was. He beat Alejandro in it.
Haydup. It was Haydup. Beat Dark Emerald and Alejandro, yeah.
But yeah, he came from off the pace. Alejandro had made it all the running, and he was headed, and then Heavy Metal just came on the outside and took them all. I think he did it a lot easier than it looked that day. A penalty of £3. Joe Fanning's in flying form. Mark Johnson is in even better form. That winner made in Rio today was absolutely sensational. But back on track, I just think heavy metal at 33-1. I don't think 92 is really the limit of his abilities. But for win purposes, I stick with AR each way. Heavy metal for me. Callum, you're not giving AR another chance, but I'm gonna guess that you're siding with Dance and Dance.
Yeah, like I am siding with Dance and Dance. I'm surprised you didn't mention Pastoral Player, to be honest,
No, I just can't do it.
because he did actually finish closest on the far side in the Buckingham Palace. So I can see that sort of angle. The first thing you've got to mention is the draw. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I usually swear by the fact when it's good to firm ground that you want to be drawn high on the stand side. But when there's rain about, it does drain really well on the far side. So potentially it kind of counteracts each other. And when I'm looking at who's going to make the running here, I kind of struggle. There's no real notable front runners. So it's going to be so messy to work out that. So in the end, I've kind of just ignored it and just try to find what horses I think are the best handicap. And for me, the best handicap horses don't bother me. I think he's got a lot in hand. Over this trip, I've been waiting for him for ages on decent ground over 7 furlongs. He's been running over 6 the last twice. I don't know why they put him in the Wokian, but they did. And he finished 3.5 lengths behind Baccarat, which is a really, really good run. Up to another furlong, I think he can go very close. But he's drawn 3. That was my only negative. If it's going to work out like it did at Royal Ascot, he's instantly got no chance. So, but if he's fine on the stand side, on the far side, sorry, then 22-1 is a massive price for him. And I know Adam was a massive Heaven's Guest fan, and I think he's got a great chance tomorrow. He's really well handicapped on that run. He runs off 103 tomorrow. He's due to go up to 107. Jack Garrity taking off another 5, and he just looks a horse that's coming into form at the right time. He's not run particularly well on all his starts this season, but that was by far the best run of the season for him. He's won at Ascot before, won here last year in a similar handicap, and drawn 17, which is a pretty fair draw. I cannot believe he's 22-1. I thought he'd be 12s, 14s on that basis. I'm really surprised. There's plenty I don't fancy, to be honest. I think Horse to Keynes is a false favourite. I just think he ran his race last time out. There's no excuses behind Louis the Pious. Watchable, I think, very solid. Bronze Angel wants a mile. Abseil, don't go for Abseil. Who else? There's a couple at a price I thought were interesting. Georgian Bay was the only one of the horses I thought was a front runner, potentially, and could outrun his odds. And yeah, I thought Belgian Bill was rock solid. He's going to go really close because he was so unlucky in the Hunt Cup.
Is that it? Have you covered all 29 now, or?
Yeah, we'll go for 30. We'll cover 30.
I am regretting wearing a jumper for this. I thought I'd try and look quite nice and presentable. Next week I'm back to summer. It is horrible. I forgot to mention completely throughout all of the video, as I always do, in fairness. We have 2 more races to cover. If you've got any fancies or questions, please send them in and we will answer them at the end of the video. If you disagree with anything that we've said throughout the course of the video, I imagine Phil Dinsdale would have disagreed with the Billingsgate a bit earlier on. But if you've got any fancies or questions, then send them in and we'll try and answer them at the end of the video. The 3:30 at York is up next, and that is it's a slightly smaller handicap, but it's not that easy. Michael, I know you'll be itching to get loose on this one as well, so Michael, go for it.
Yeah, they all come in quick succession, all the decent handicaps. I think I've got to give a good mention to Hoofit once again. I'm sure Luke might mention it later on as well. I thought he was going really well in the Wokingham actually last time, and then just didn't quite go through with his effort. I'm not really sure. I think Kieran Fallon could have a really good day tomorrow at York. I think there's a real big possibility that he will. Off top weight
at York. It's a delightful.
Say that again?
Who doesn't have a good day at York? It's a delightful racecourse.
Have you ever been?
No.
Oh dear. Luke,
Like,
you don't know what the north looks like. In fairness, so I don't really think you're the right person to.
Well, you said it was rain today, so you can also sort of.
I think Boggart, that's one that could bounce back to form at some point. Obviously, won a big York handicap this time last year, or was it the Ebor meeting? I think
It was
Boggart
the
won.
first ever video. It was the Ebor. He was the first
Yeah.
ever on the other hoof.
Ah, there you go then. Outdo has been a bit frustrating. Been placed quite a few times now. Just hasn't quite got that win out. I think there is a one there. Danny Tubboat, David O'Meara, good team. Not sure about that myself though. The one that stood out for me is Foxtrot Romeo, who had a really good 2-year-old season. Obviously second in the Irish 2000 guineas. Looks quite handy. Looks really well. Yeah, I've got that. I don't think you'll want to talk. I think it's interesting dropping back to 6 furlongs. As a 2-year-old, was only beaten less than 3 lengths by Casper Netcher in the Group 2 Mill Reef Stakes. So I think got the speed potentially for a 6 furlongs. Definitely well handicapped, considering this is a placed group horse as a 2-year-old. Marco Botti is your trainer. I think Foxtrot Romeo could be a really decent one tomorrow. Of the others, like I said, I think Hoofit is your class horse. Has always been there or thereabouts since winning the Stewards Cup, I think, or 32 Red Cup as we will now more affectionately know it. And if Hoofit can get back on top, is definitely the one to beat, but I'm just not quite sure that he's there at the moment. Outdo, I think, is also very interesting, and those would be my 3, but I think Foxtrot Romeo is about 18 to 1 max price, and that'd be the one for me. And I've stuck with 1!
Yay. Hoofer actually ran a really good race in the Wokingham, in fairness. Yeah. I remember fancying him and not backing him, and then about a furlong and a half furlong out, I was thinking, oh, crap, maybe I should have backed him. But I was on Better Nation that day, and we had Mick Easterby on the phone, and they quietly fancied him. They thought he had a big each way chance, but they'd be a bit disappointed with him. For me, I'm going from the top weight right down to the bottom weight, and I know Callum is going to sigh at me, but Picture Dealer is what I'm going for.
Oh, he's in this race, is he?
Oh God. Okay.
Did you not look at this one either?
No, Picture Dealer. Just like I didn't know he was in this race. It's ridiculously competitive. He's not winning this.
Well, screw you. He is a bit of a cliff horse, me, I have to admit. But I've done well. I haven't backed him like the last 3 times he's run. Last time out at Yarmouth, you can completely throw that run out the window. He fell out the stalls and missed a kick by about 5 lengths, and he didn't really get into any kind of rhythm for about a furlong, but stayed on really, really takingly. He was 4th in 2 strides. He was 2nd, and he just bumped into a really progressive shake hand dance sort of Charlie Hills. Before that, he'd been running nice races. His form figures aren't that desirable, but watching his races, he's been closing at the end. Ideally, I think he wants 7 furlongs, so a strong pace tomorrow will suit him down to the ground. I also wish that they just ride him a little bit closer to the pace, because just make use of his stamina, but at the same time, you also say that he has to sort out his antics down at the start, because he is slowly away quite a bit. Not as bad as last time, obviously, but he doesn't help himself by coming out of the stalls behind the rest. So Picture Dealer would be one at a price each way of 25 to 1. Out the rest, Outdo's been in decent form. Maybe I'd give him a chance, but it's not really a race I'd get too heavily involved in, if I'm honest. I'd love to see Hoofit run a big race. I think he's an each way price as well, but Picture Dealer, the tentative selection for me. Cowdog, you're up.
Yeah, I like Gold Dream for Robert Cowell. He won on his return in a Newmarket handicap that was really strong form, and he wasn't expected to win there. He wasn't fully tuned for that day. He's run twice since, finished 4th on softish ground. I know it's officially good, but it was good to soft at least that day behind Rennie Matters. And I thought he ran really well over 5 at Sandown the other day. But 6 is his trip for me. And York, he goes well at. I think a lot of boxes being ticked tomorrow off only £6 higher from that mark. I think that's a mark he can exploit. And I think he's potentially listed class in the future. So him at 14 to 1's the one to be on for me. But it's a fantastic race. The favourite, Muthmere, fully deserves to be favourite. I have no qualms about that. I should have won last time out, simply put. Was well backed, but should have won. Should make amends soon. Line of Reasoning, cracking form, needs fast ground, needs a strong pace to aim at, but he's had it last 3 times and he's won every time. I think he'll confirm the form, with Zolti, even though Zolti's actually a lot better handicaps in regards to him. Bar that, there's a few I think are of interest, but Gold Dream, I do like Gold Dream.
Yeah, thank God we only have one more race to cover, because
so long, isn't it?
I am I am so hot. It's like I've been brave as well and just gone shirt and jumper and no shirt underneath. So that would not be a pretty sight if I took the jumper off. Um, whew, uh, remember to get your questions in for the end of the video, questions and fancies. I think Adam actually had all of our questions, and he's not here. So I'm trying to find out the questions from Adam at the moment. But moving on to the last race, it's obviously the best race of the day, the King George. Flintshire is a non-runner, of course. That I know, Callum, you put up on Bet Racing Nation with me last night.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Gets his conditions and then gets a temperature. I mean, you can't make it up. Really disappointed about that. I thought he was going to run a big race.
What do you make of Ryan Moore's comments today about Magician saying he's the best horse in the race, plain and simple?
I think he's the best horse in the race at this stage. On figures, he is.
Yeah. I think there's a lot that have potential to go past him.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
I don't think Magician's a 124 rated horse, if I'm perfectly honest.
No, but then again, he did put up that sort of performance. If you're beating the Fugue on fast ground, that's a pretty good performance. So at the moment, he warrants it on that performance. So, fair enough to him at this stage, and he wasn't beaten far by in what was a well above scratch Prince of Wales's. So I think he's the one to beat at this stage. But I think I'll actually say I think I'll be surprised if nothing improves past him. There's a potential here for somebody to put up a 130 plus performance. If there's a strong pace on, like I said last night, there's a strong pace on in this race, then there could be well strung out, and somebody could absolutely bolt up by 6 or 7 lengths, just like Harbinger did a few years ago. And Telescope to Gruder, I think, has the potential to do that. So does Eagle Top, and horses like Trading Leather will be the ones that will be judging this race on, because he'll run to a solid 120 mark in his conditions. But again, I don't know what to go for now. I really did like Flintshire a lot, and I really am sweet on Gruder. I think she's a cracking filly, and if I had to go for if I had to have a bet, I would go for her. But I'm going to leave it. I think it's a fantastic race, and just watch and enjoy.
Yeah, I can't blame you for that. If I'm honest, it's a really, really good race. For me, I am siding with Gruder. I'm a huge fan of her. I haven't actually backed her before or been with her for any race, but her Oaks performance was absolutely exceptional. She went past Volume, who we now know is a really tough horse, very hard to pass, as she proved in the Irish Oaks. Made Volume look pedestrian. Just went past with one big whoosh. And me and Callum were talking last night, and we just agreed that she goes through the race like her dad was, obviously by Sea the Stars. She just travels so well into the race, and she's probably got more of a turn of foot than Sea the Stars, if maybe being a bit overly sensitive. But Sea the Stars never really went on and won emphatically, but Gruder does. Obviously, she gets the huge weight allowance, being a 3-year-old and a filly as well, so that was going to be strongly in her favour. Would the rain be against Telescope today, do you reckon, guys? Obviously, it's against him, but it won't get into the ground that much, I wouldn't imagine.
No, I think good ground will be fair for him. I mean, his best form is on good to firm, but I think it's just he doesn't really run as well on soft or pick up as well on soft. But I think he'd be fine on it. And
yeah.
I mean, ideally, Magician wants it. I still think Eagle Top wants fast ground, but apparently Connections think he doesn't. So, and they know better than me. So, Gruder, I think if there's any more rain, Gruder will probably be most suited by it, because I can see her going on it a little bit better than the rest.
I just think Gruder travels so well.
Yeah.
So we are probably going to get that strong pace that we mentioned. So we have Let Him or Mukadram, Trading Leather, and probably Romstar going forward. That's just got all the makings of a massive smash up front, and that it's going to go one or two ways. They could slow it up and then the front runners can get away again, or it could just fall into the laps of the likes of Gruder, Telescope, Magician, and probably Eagle Top as well. So again, this is going to be really intriguing the way the race plays out. Gruder's the one that I'm going for. I'm a big fan of the horse, and even if she loses tomorrow, I wouldn't be 100% put off her for the Arc. The Arc's just a race where the fillies really come into themselves, and I think she's just absolutely class. But Michael, you're the last one to talk about the King George for us.
Yeah, it's difficult. I always pin this as it was going to be a really, really good race, and now it seems to have just dropped out a bit. And you just don't quite know where everything's at. I think Mukadram won his Coral Eclipse as a result of a good ride and poor riding from the others in behind. Magician, I just struggle to have. I just don't know if he is that. Like Callum said, I completely agree. I think there's something better than him in this race that's got far more potential than he has. Lettia Moore, I'm not sure about that one. Obviously, Flintshire is a non-runner. Telescope, I know I did my big U-turn on the video when saying that he can't win and then go in, but nothing can beat him, so he can win at Royal Ascot, and he justified my U-turn as a result. But again, I do think that Tagruda and Eagle Top both have the potential to be better than them, and those two would be the ones for me. Considering Tagruda, an Oaks winner, unbeaten, been very impressive, gets a stone from all of the older horses in the race, I just find that too tempting. But now the price has gone. I think someone was saying she was about 7-1 before she was confirmed as a non-entry in the Irish Oaks. And as a result, now she's 5-2. I'm not so tempted by that. I think Telescope is a bit short at 9-4 personally. And now Eagle Top, the price has really gone on that. So it's not really a betting race anymore. I do think Tagruda and Eagle Top, though, are the ones that could go past their older compatriots.
I have angered Ryan. Ryan on Harbour Watch, that is. I can't use some of the language he has used in the tweet. But he says that comparison to Cedar Stars, bugger the cows, Jesus. I mean, okay, maybe I was being a bit overzealous with the comparison, but I didn't say anything completely out of line, did I?
No, and we weren't slagging off Cedar Stars, who for me is one of my absolute favourite horses ever.
Well, Cedar Stars was one of the best horses we'll ever see. I'm sure Ryan will tell me he's better than Frankel, but he never did go on and really win emphatically, did he?
No, he always just did enough, didn't he? But enough was still to a ridiculously high potential.
Yeah.
But him and Frankel are the best I've ever seen, without doubt.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That's another topic.
For sure. But I'm not sure what part of my quote he's disagreeing with there, because Tagruda does travel a lot through the races like Cedar Stars does. For me, anyway.
I agree.
But shut up, Ryan. That is all the races on Channel 4 that will be taking place tomorrow covered. Michael, it's Naughty Lucky 15 time, my friend.
Yes, it is indeed. Oh dear. We've got a few regulars today. Brazov in the 3:15 at Ascot. Shame he's not running at Goodwood actually next week. I remember him running in the 2-3-year-old race. 2-3-2-year-old. Can't remember what race. That he ran in last year. That when me and Luke were there. But yeah, he's the first one. Also, 50 Shades of Grey runs at the 8:50. If anybody's interested, by the 50 Shades of Grey trailer came out a couple of days ago. If anybody wants to go and watch that on Valentine's Day, if you do, then you need a life. Give it a whirl as well in the 6 o'clock at Lingfield, and also what Luke says to Becca a few times. Why not now? 7 o'clock at Lingfield.
You're lucky she's not watching this.
Yeah, no, don't. She'll never know.
Ryan has got back to me. He says, Turnerfoot, he wanted guineas. Tagruda would get lapped. I mean, you'd be doing seriously well to get lapped at Newmarket, I have to say. But I'm talking about Turnerfoot over this trip, obviously.
We're talking about, it was more just the way she travels in her races is really, really powerfully, which is the biggest trait of Cedar Stars for me.
Yeah, it's the way she travelled in the Oaks, and as soon as Hannigan said go, it was instant.
Yeah, certainly not saying Tagruda will win a Guineas, not at all.
No, God no, no, that would be a stupid statement. But no, over a mile and a half, it just seems that the further she goes, the better, and she's still got that turn of foot. That it is just an instant impact. But yeah, shut up, Brian. I'm enjoying that. We are going on to naps now. And I know that me and Callum are on the same nap, and the price has absolutely been destroyed. It's now 5-2. 5-2 I'm seeing. I don't know what best price is, but yeah. Michael, we'll go for your nap first.
Yeah, this isn't easy at all. I think I'm going to go Foxtrot Romeo each way. There's nothing really like... It's very competitive tomorrow, I find. There's nothing that's really solid. Even in like the group races, such as the King George itself, I think that's pretty wide open, especially between the two Gosden horses. So yeah, Foxtrot Romeo in the 3:30 at York.
Do we know what Adam's nap was?
No, we can ask
Heaven's
him.
guest.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
We'll go for Heaven's Guest each way for Adam then. Callum, our nap is...
First flight, 2:45 at Newmarket. Been crying for a step up in trip, I'd probably say. But more importantly, I think he's been crying for better ground. And he was unlucky last time at the Britannia. This looks considerably weaker. And the money suggests that he's very well fancy tomorrow. So, yeah, at 130 still available. I think that's a decent price.
Yeah. I was actually... Well, the first half of the race in the Britannia anyway, I was really disappointed. I had my head in my hands because he was my handicap good thing of the week, and then he got drawn stall 1, which scuppered any chances he had. But he was off the bridle the whole way, stayed on quite taken in the end, and was almost leading going into the final furlong. But then the near side took over, and he never really had a chance. When they stepped up to mile 2, I think it's going to be absolutely perfect, especially on this ground. So first flight for me as well. And we've got quite a good record when agreeing, haven't we, Callum? Mostly
I think so. Yeah.
Thanks to Slade, we have to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, first flight for me tomorrow. Adam hasn't got back to me with his nap, so we are just going to have to give him a Heaven's Guest. Are we racing anywhere tomorrow, guys?
Possibly Newmarket.
Possibly. Why possibly?
Not sure. Just not sure if I'm going to go yet. I'm wondering if going just watching it all on the sofa is a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So racing tomorrow.
And cheaper as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm at Ascot with Dubai Racing Channel, which I'm immensely looking forward to. And I'll be there with Ryan as well. So that should be fun. I'll give him shit with me. But yeah, you can catch me on the Dubai Racing Channel start from 12 o'clock. I'll be on there for an hour and 20 with the delightful Laura King, talking about all the Ascot races and the group race from York tomorrow. So that should be fun. But I hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Other Hoof. I normally don't ask if they're ready because it's usually Adam now. But Michael, are you ready?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us this week, guys. We'll be back next week for Glorious Goodwood. Details will follow on that because we're not 100% sure how we're going to be doing them videos yet. But we will be doing some Glorious Goodwood videos. We will see you then. From everyone here at On the Other Hoof, goodbye.